I've heard of green tea.
That's coffee. That's coffee.
That's heroin for you, apparently.
Come see Joseph's Amazing Technicolor Vagina. Free balloons with heroin for every guest.
I think I remember your voice.
She remembers my voice.
I think I really do.
From Six Flags?
Yeah. Because I went to Six Flags over Georgia. My sister lives in Atlanta.
Oh my god.
They've replaced some of them, but that one's still there. I know. Wow. My friends write me every year from Georgia. I heard your voice today. I'm like, that's like 10 years ago.
That's awesome.
And I don't get a royalty.
And monkeys. That's what we should call the band, Monkeys and Plagels. Anyways, welcome back to Curtain Call with Eric Ball.
That's if
with
you actually came back.
Yeah, viewers hanging tight and, on our every word. I hope not. Here with me, as always, is Glenn Heath and Carrie Ann Parks. We're with Terrence Williams, Jenn De La Torre, and Elizabeth Matthews. We're talking about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat out of Super Summer Theater.
Yep.
It's opening a week from this, actually not this week, but next week, gosh.
Next Wednesday, August 8th.
You can get tickets to this awesome musical by going to the Super Summer Theater website. You can also go to showtixforyou.com or unlvboxoffice.com. The tickets are $12 purchased in advance.
Or enjoy that 16.5-mile drive out to Spring Mountain Ranch and buy your ticket there at the gate.
There it is. There it is. And you can take
Is it that long?
It's not that long.
Yeah, 16 miles. Unless you're coming from Blue Diamond, then it's only about 6.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
And
convenient.
If you've
Just
now,
you and I live over there, duh.
Yeah.
If you're silly for us to go all the way around, because that'd be like 40 miles out of our way.
Yeah.
Anyways,
can I cut you off again?
No, you're fine. If you're a first-time listener to Curtain Call, what this is, it's a community theater radio program. We're talking about everything that's happening in the community. It's also a place where you can go and find out information about auditions and upcoming shows, and we have guests on from the shows. We give tickets away throughout the week on KSHP and during the auction radio hours, and so you can tune in during that. But also go to Facebook and like our page, Curtain Call with Eric Ball. Make sure you like it, and we'll tell you what's coming up. Programs
and by all means comment on the page and let us know what words you'd like us to say on the air.
Yeah, and we'll see.
Because I have no shame whatsoever.
We can push that boundary. There's actually a list of words you can't say.
I'm sure there's a clip of George Carlin where you could...
We could probably find that somewhere, but we won't worry about that.
I have them all memorized.
Yeah, so as far as Joseph is concerned, let's go back, let's get biblical here. As far as Joseph... not in that sense, I mean in the radio sense. Yeah, just push that microphone closer to you guys. Now, as far as the musical is concerned, tell us, for the listeners just now tuning in, kind of recap as to why this one's a little bit more unique than your regular Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. Mm-hmm.
Take it away, Liz. Just kidding.
Not Liz. She's not even in the show.
She's going to do a great job.
It's no cats, I'll tell you that.
I've been to one rehearsal, and it was super awesome. Yeah, you guys weren't there. You were doing Crazy, one of your other shows. And it's they do a whole new take on this classic, and I actually really digged it.
You dug it?
I'm digging it.
Didgeridoo.
You dug it.
You dug it. Doing the dug it?
Well, what did you dig about it? I mean, what specifically was it?
Well, because, like as we were kind of talking about earlier, it's a little stale, for a lack of a better term. I mean, how many times have we seen it done the same way, and blah, 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 Elvis. And so it just, they pay homage to all the different rock styles and rock artists. I mean, I heard some Sublime, I heard some Ozzy, I heard some
Joan Jett thrown in there.
Oh yeah, I'm curious. What female rock legends are you using, Jen?
A mix of a bunch of different ones. I tie a little bit of Gwen. A little bit of Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Kate from the B-52s.
Yeah, a little bit of Blondie.
Really?
Yeah, and hopefully people can pick some of that up. What's going on outside, guys?
There's a car being broken into.
The Nissan Cube.
Oh, that's my car. It's going off.
Ruining the show.
Wow. Somebody's trying to steal my car?
Yeah, why would you want to steal a cube?
Wow. Really? Great gas mileage. That's all I got to say.
My little car gets
lots of headroom.
It's got no.
What the heck was that?
You said headroom, and I said, "Hey, come on."
Okay, I'm sorry.
It was inappropriate.
Jen, you're training vocally.
Right now.
you've had to adapt your style of training because you've been doing musical theater for how long?
Oh gosh, high school.
Okay.
So yeah.
6-7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a deviation from your traditional musical theater. You know, the coveted role of the narrator is a very classical voice, and you're putting your pipes through some challenges here.
Yeah, I decided this year to sort of invest a little more into my vocals. So I've been studying a little bit, and there are definitely some little tricks that I've learned in musical theater. It's very different. It's like talking. It's like talking.
Wow, darn.
Stylized.
Really?
Stylized talking.
I'm sorry.
It's like talking. I've learned to compensate for both mixing the head voice with the chest voice. It's a great tool.
Boy, and you get lots of opportunities for that in this show.
Yeah, definitely. So it's not all about screaming. So it is a rock show, so I'm definitely making sure not to scream a lot and hurt my voice because I realized in the past I did have some habits that were really harming my voice.
Yeah.
And there's been some great changes, and I'm really excited to sort of feature myself as a singer this year because roles in the past it hasn't really featured me much as a vocalist. So
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I've watched you over the last few years, being able to be in a few shows with you, and I've seen a huge change in your presence on stage. Not only just the more experience you've had, and not to suggest that since I've known you, you've been a fantastic singer, but you've reached new levels for me.
Yeah, you blossomed like a bat.
Like a bat. Like a bat out of hell.
You meatloaf reference?
Like a bat?
Jen, you said something which is I think very keyed into Terrence's vision that this is a rock concert.
Yes.
And that's what drew me to this production.
And can I ask you, just both of you, especially Terrence though, as far as this being kind of treated as such, as a rock show. Okay, it's a rock show.
You're going to ask the same question I was going to ask 2 seconds ago. No, go. Cause
let me see if it is.
Say that
for
at the same time.
For the traditional...
Watermelon.
No.
You were wrong.
No. For the traditional Super Summer Theater patron, somebody who loves to make it a point to see every show, or is maybe thinking about going out there for the first time, that is a traditional theater patron. A demographic that was used to sitting in cozy seats or sipping wine, a nice Chablis in a long stemmed glass. I mean, how is this one, I mean, because it is a rock show. How is this show still yet approachable to them?
You know what? It's still the same Joseph. What I kind of decided to do with the narrator is it's her favorite story. The story of Joseph is her favorite story, and she could just tell it over and over and over again. And this is how she wants to tell it in this sort of rock land, where everybody in rock just sort of comes together, and the story just comes alive.
It's actually a very interesting thing that you just said just then, because if you think about it, any people who aren't religious, everybody can at least agree that the stories of the Bible are at least good stories about morality, about you can at least,
especially the ones in Leviticus.
Yeah, oh, Lord. But I'm just saying, and how you tell those stories, be it from the Bible or any other story, how you bedtime stories to your kids or whatever, how you tell those stories, you embellish them, you color them, you fragrance them any way you want. You know, the color of the grass was this, and it was this sunny, and this happened. You know, how you say that story, how you tell that story and communicate it is totally up to the storyteller. And that's kind of why I kind of wrapped my brain around this show and appreciate it so much, is because you're right, it is the same exact words, the exact same story we're telling, but we're telling it in an embellished different way. And we're telling it in a way that is great for two different audiences. If you're someone who enjoys musical theater, who enjoys seeing any, Andrew Lloyd Webber or Rodgers and Hammerstein, you're going to have a great time because you're going to see a story that maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not, but you're going to enjoy the story. There's also a second audience for this show, though. There are the people who would never sit at a musical theater production, but who would go to a rock concert. Right. And they will also enjoy this show. Oh, yeah. And so we're actually... Because it's funny. It's not like... Don't get turned away. Okay, now I'm talking to you people out there that don't go to theater, that maybe sit at home and just say, I got better things to do, like watch The Bachelor. I have it TiVo'd.
That show's still on?
I don't know. I just picked a show. Or
Okay.
The Voice, the stupid show. Anyways, here's the thing. All those shows are so dumb. I'm sorry. Except Project Runaway. But I'll
Don't
talk
mess
about
with
that
Cake
later.
Boss.
Yeah, Cake Boss. Yeah, Cake Boss rocks. But the thing is,
I like the Food
the
Network.
thing is,
reality
there's a
shows.
whole group of people that don't go to
Chopped.
the theater for probably a very similar reason, and that reason is that they have a hard time grasping and wrapping their brains around this escaped reality that we say, here, believe in this. People break into song. People, magical things happen to them, and everybody winds up happy in the end. I mean, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around that sometimes. But I argue that theater is good for your senses in that regard. Oftentimes when you go to the television or you go to the movies, there's an awful lot out there that is very, very, even reality television is not reality television anymore. And I argue,
it never was.
and I
was.
wonder, why is reality television needed as much as we think it is? Because it's like, too much reality is it's cumbersome anyway.
People like watching train wrecks. I mean,
Right.
and a lot of these reality shows just show the worst of the human.
But can I
condition.
argue something here for a second? As far as a human race, we all have one thing that I think everybody in this room would agree that we all have a heartfelt appreciation for, and that's music. Everybody connects with music. Everybody is emotionally tied to music. I bet you right now, if I asked you across the board, is there a song that you can think in your head right now that when you hear it, it gives you goosebumps? Or you can tie it to a very sad time in your life, or you can tie... There is something about music that brings people together. And that's what I argue musical theater is special for that reason, is because it has the opportunity to tell a story in a way that is adaptable to everyone's senses. Yeah. And so in this regard, I don't know about you, but whether you're on the eucalyptus machine or whatever the heck you call it in the gym, whatever it's called.
For all of you koala bears,
or if you're just a fan of rock and roll, I bet you right now you can list about 10 songs that are your pump-up songs or your awesome songs.
Terrence did this from the beginning of the rehearsal process. He gave all of us blank CDs for us to make mix albums for us to share with the rest of the cast. So, we could bond with each other with the types of music that we listen to. My daughter is in the show with me, which has been a fantastic experience. And I thank Terrence for giving her that opportunity. But she's been bringing home all these other CDs, and I've been fighting for years to get her to listen to a lot of, because I have thousands of albums, and so now that she, her peers and her castmates listen to this music, Dad all of a sudden has some cool music at his.
Dad's become a whole lot groovier.
Yeah, Jethro Tull is not so lame anymore.
But isn't that how it always is? Like, people listen to their own music, and then they hear someone, like, people come to me constantly, and they're like, oh, this is neat, what is this? But I listen to everything. Yeah. And so I feel like most people they find something comfortable and they stick with it.
Well,
there's suddenly you hear something else and you're like, oh, well,
so
that's interesting.
In that vein, I would argue that whether you're the type to listen to just the Boston Pops Orchestra on that LP over and over and over, I mean, or if you're a really heavy metal Ozzy Osbourne,
Arthur
ZZ
Fiedler
Top,
and the Boston Pops, or John Williams and the Boston Pops?
Or of course, John Williams.
Okay, well, no, I like some Arthur Fiedler, so...
Or if you're the type that still has that rooster haircut and you're like, dude, the Poison era will live on forever. Whatever your type is, okay, this is the type of show that you can go and appreciate, because even though it's presented in different styles of rock and roll, it's still the same story presented in an Andrew Lloyd Webber format. It's still very approachable, and it's a funny show. It's not like, if you think about it, the story of Joseph's kind of weird anyways. It's kind of this weird thing. All these brothers gang up on their sibling because he's favored by his dad and he dresses better, and all of a sudden, and then he goes through amazing trials. All these crazy, terrible things happen to him, and then all of a sudden he takes advantage of all these things to stay true to who he is and what he believes in, and he ends up, and I won't give everything away, but he is discovering great fortune as a result, and things kind of turn around in the end. And so it's not so unrealistic to all the other stories that you see in the movies or anything, but at the same time it's very interesting because it's a tried and true Bible story, you know? So here's the thing, you Sunday school teachers. I mean, this isn't something that you should turn up your nose to just because we're doing it hard rock style. In fact, I would say this is a wonderful way to...
And when you say hard rock, it branches from, you know, rock and roll to some hard rock. I mean, there is some hard rock, but it's not in your face Pantera guar music.
Even I call it Cookie Monster garage band music when they go, me want cookie, me want, you know, you can't distinguish the screamo. Yeah, you can't distinguich the words.
You know, it's not that
Can you imagine? They're just sitting in the audience going, honey, I don't understand this. Can we get one of those hearing aid things, please? It's like a British guy going, and red and yellow and green and brown.
The British cast recording of the show, though, is fascinating to listen to just for that reason, because everyone has this, like, a lot of London casts don't have a serious accent to them.
Right.
They're kind of minor. The Joseph London cast recording has really thick British accents.
If you've ever listened...
And yellow, and brown, and ochre.
It's ochre.
The British said okra.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that a vegetable?
I like fried okra.
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah, if you've ever listened to the Grease and the Legally Blonde London ones too, it's like them doing the American accents are hilarious. It's like the only Southern Grease I've ever heard in my life.
You know, I've been listening to foreign soundtracks of Little Shop of Horrors. I had downloaded I borrowed some foreign I have 7 different Little Shop of Horrors. So I have the Icelandic cast.
Wow.
The
Bjork
Argentinian
sings in it?
Bjork.
No, but it's funny to listen to because Jen and myself were under Eric's direction for that last summer. So I've just had these on my music player for a year.
Oh, good
since
times.
I just started listening to them again.
Well, let's take another real quick break here, and then we'll be back with Terrence Williams, Jenn De La Torre, and Elizabeth Matthews. We're talking about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat out at Super Summer Theater Ranch. Hang tight, and we'll be right back. As soon as we can get this playing.
Did you almost yell vagina?
Who's that?
Okay,
I'm listening to Eric Ball's Vagina on Curtain Call.
I'm gonna go run back there and change over the
Yep.
CD.
I'll keep playing around until we...
I bet you we could get Gilbert Gottfried on the phone and say, listen to Bobcat Goldthwait.
That's actually pretty good.
What was that?
Bobcat Goldthwait. Goldthwait.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Goldthwait.
I don't know what you're talking
Is
about.
he the guy who got fired in Scrooge?
Yes.
And he was in
Police Academy. That's where he got his big...
Zed. Oh, the police.
Stand-up
Steve
comedian.
Gutenberg.
Why was he ever considered attractive?
Who, Steve
Steve
Gutenberg?
Gutenberg? Yeah.
I think the 3 Men and a Baby thing catapulted it further than he
And
did.
yeah, he was
Yeah,
with
well,
Tom
Ted Danson
Selleck. I
and
mean,
Tom
come
Selleck
on.
are good-looking guys.
I mean,
But-
Ted...
Women were loving the mustache on the Tom Selleck. So.
Still do.
Let's switch over
Hello.
to Sweet Tomatoes now.
How are you?
Are you tired of the screaming loudmouth thing?
Yes, I am completely tired of the screaming loudmouth.
Well, I was thinking we could talk about hair, but I have no ticket information. I have no location.
Have you
I
guys
can
started
talk about
yet?
it.
You wanna?
I know some stuff.
I'd like to,
no
because
stuff.
let's bring it back, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Joseph. Maybe give each of you a chance to say a thing or two about it. Kind of tell him to come on out, lie, something like that. And then we'll kind of wrap on Joseph. Please stay if you'd like to stay. Otherwise, and then I think you saw.
I saw
He fell dead.
Evil Dead and
I saw
the whole whorehouse thing for me this week. Too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I
we
saw
need to talk
Whorehouse
about that.
opening day, so I'd like to talk about that.
And I saw Trailer Park.
Oh, you're
today.
in it? Oh, let's
I
talk
saw
about it.
Hairspray last night at 2:00, and so did Jen.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's just talk about stuff.
I saw
Stay.
Chelsea for her.
I saw Absinthe.
You know what? You can talk about Absinthe if you're allowed to, which you're not.
I'm allowed to talk about it.
Not about what happened this past week.
What happened?
Not even can't talk about because we got a media blackout on it, so we can't talk about it.
Oh, okay. Is that recording audio?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay.
Audio
I
and
can't
video.
say anything about it.
Other than it's a great show with the gazillionaire.
And a delicious drink.
Do you like Absinthe?
I've never tried it.
Oh, I should bring some in.
Why didn't you tell me when you were there?
I tried it.
Is it good?
Oh well,
It's
the
pink
classic
box.
stuff that had the hallucinogen in it, that stuff's still illegal. But
it is.
Let's go back in. Let's go back in. We got 15 seconds.
All right.
Why not?
Here we go.
I'm gonna type.
Here we go. Peter.
Okay. I can't wait to read it.
Read what?
Secrets.
What I'm not allowed to talk about.
Oh. Yeah.
749-6400.
So they would take the green coffee bean.
I'm gonna get you one. I'm gonna read yours.
Hey, this is Julie Murray, and you are absolutely listening to Curtain Call with Eric Ball. Don't stop listening.
I'll tell you about it.
Hey, it's Curtain Call with Eric Ball, and we are talking with Terrence Williams, Jenn De La Torre, and Elizabeth Matthews. We are talking about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, the Super Summer Theater musical that's opening a week from this Wednesday out
August
at the Spring Mountain Valley Ranch.
Second to last show of this season.
Yes.
With the leader of the pack opening up in September.
Cool.
Which is another rock and roll show, although that one is more 50s jukebox style.
Yes.
And Audrey Karen directing that show out there, and one of our mutual friends, Anita Bean, heading that up in the cast.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I wanted to turn things back over to you two and just kind of give you an opportunity to talk about the show a little bit more. If you're just now tuning in, this particular version of Joseph is being presented in a very unique way. It's not your 70s rock kind of Donny Osmond style, although we tip our hat to that style. More so, it is a rock and roll version. I'm going to kind of generalize it in that regard because there's many different types of rock involved. They've kind of transformed the music. They haven't touched the music. They just are presenting it in a different way, and the same script, of course, to the traditional Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. And it's just a really fun contemporary rock and roll version now. And I can say honestly that it's going to be something that a lot of people aren't going to expect, but a whole bunch of people are going to walk away really enjoying. And I can say that because I'm in the show. I hope they're going to enjoy it.
I hope you're in the show.
I hope I'm in the show too. So anyways, Jen, let me kind of just ask you, how has this cast been compared to other casts? Now I don't want you to pinpoint people or situation, but I will say that I know what my answer.
Pinpoint people in this.
I know what my answer to this question would be, but I'd love to hear because. What is it about this cast? What is it about this particular production that's going to make you want to turn patrons this way?
Well, first, my first response, I was going to say that I'm among the oldest in the cast.
That's unusual for you.
Yes, I'm usually one of the babies. But it's actually really refreshing. I remember auditioning for my first show as a senior in high school, so it's kind of
nice.
looking at yourself a little, and I just remember being really shy and just being in awe of these actors, in the lead roles, just hoping, that I could do that, and it's really weird. It's really weird seeing these babies on stage.
Now you're in a leadership position, and it's kind of
yes, I am among the oldest.
That's wild.
And you have to temper your words because there's some youngins in there that don't understand the big words.
I do.
Well, and it's really cool because there is an advanced stage of mentoring going on. I mean, you see people taking. I mean, there's a part in the show where there's families and the little kids are with their mommy and daddy, character part, and it's like you've seen these actors take these little ones under their wings and kind of, where's my son?
But it's
where's
great.
my daughter? And they really kind of mentored to them.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great experience for them, and hopefully they want to do it over and over again like me. Like, that's immediately how I caught the bug. Like, I remember exactly. I did Sweeney Todd with Phil Shelburne, and it was in the time at Carrie Ann, and it was just the most incredible experience ever. I couldn't get enough. I caught the bug, and I came back, and awesome roles have come along. So thankful.
And I think I see the same fire in these kids' eyes that you're talking about because
some of them are possessed by the devil.
They
and
are.
They're so. Some I think are scared of me. They look like I say hi, and like they look so scared of me.
Well, can I tell you something though? Your role demands that you have status.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And you know what it is. They look up to you, and you may not be used to people looking up to you as that role model, but like all those girls in the cast, they want to be you.
I want to be you too.
You're my role model.
I was you once.
We all just kind of went, what the heck just
He's said it
happened
with
here?
such contempt.
I know.
Jen was actually in the first show that I directed at the ranch, which was a little tiny show called Return to Forbidden Planet, and she was just a female ensemble member. And
you were the girl on the swing too, weren't you?
No. I was
not. That was Amanda Craft.
Was it Amanda Craft? Who else? What else did you do out there?
She did West Side Story.
West Side Story. That's it. West Side Story. And then what else? Gosh,
you've
been in a lot
Girl
of
in the
stuff.
Red Hat.
Girl in the Red Hat.
There you go.
The character's name was Snooki.
Is it?
Jen's had a number of good roles over the last, because you did Hedwig and the Angry Inch a couple years ago, which is fantastic. I loved you in that.
You should lead with that. You played Snooki and survived. And so it's crazy. Well, now, if I may interrupt, Terrence, what about this cast has been different from other casts you've directed? I mean, because going to these rehearsals for me, it's like walking into a fun house. I mean, seriously, it's really energetic.
You know, when you cast a show as a director, you never know certain things. You know what each person brings to the table in terms of their talent. Obviously, they put that on the line for you in an audition.
Right.
You get to evaluate that and put together the pieces to make what you want. But what you don't see is what those people are like personally, and what baggage they bring to rehearsal, what drama they create, who they fight with, you know, who is trying to, you know,
everyone's
be
got
romantically involved with every single person in the cast.
I have not.
Showmantically involved.
Yes, showmance is going on. This cast particularly, you know, we got very lucky because everyone is genuinely very nice. There's not a lot of, you know, claws out digging at people. No one's, I'm angling for a way to get this part or somebody to get kicked out of the show. Everyone just gets along and has a great time.
They hang out every night.
It's true.
After
the cast goes out every single night after rehearsal. That doesn't happen. Usually it's like a once a week or twice a week thing. And Jen's like, "You're going out again? No, I have to sleep.
We're going to Wahoo's again."
That was me. That was me though last year. And now I go home.
It's
oh, you're too old?
You're old.
No,
it's so true though.
We all come full
Everybody in the
circle.
cast is so bloody happy. And I'm not dissing other casts that I've worked with or anything and saying that they're not a happy cast, but everyone, I think everyone is genuinely appreciative to be a part of the show.
Well, there's a lot of things that go into it, and I will give my props to Terrence, because Terrence, I've been working with him for a few years now in different productions, and it's always fun. Terrence doesn't want anyone in a show that's not going to have fun doing it. And this is a unique cast for me because I hardly know anyone in the cast. There's a handful I do know, but there's a lot of faces that are brand new, and everyone, like Terrence said, has gotten along, and we're all having fun, and we're so far ahead of the game, as far as productions go.
That's got to be refreshing for you, because especially when you're a director with a vision that's maybe, just for the lack of better words, a little bit off the traditional path. It's got to be refreshing to have a team that's just willing to say, you know what, let's do this.
It is. It absolutely is. And on a similar note, I think that when you have cast members that are new to the scene, it helps that situation because no one brings their experiences from other shows. Not to say that I set out to cast people I don't know, but I certainly take a lot of chances on people, more so than a lot of production companies.
I'll ask and feel free, because this is maybe a little bit personal that I may have some knowledge of.
Sure.
What's your project on this one? Because you tend to bring
fresh meat.
Not necessarily fresh meat to a show, but you have your own.
I'm not understanding.
Side project, a little side project, something that.
Oh, somebody that they saw the heart, but not necessarily the resume.
Maybe the diamond in the rough, or maybe there's an aspect of the show. So you and
thank you, Terrence, for giving me that shot.
It's actually me.
Side project.
Thank you.
Spoiler alert.
We're actually here to tell you that she's taking your part.
I am the side show.
I do. There are always.
You have to keep it fresh yourself, and keep things exciting, and be able to see that progress in certain ways, other than a show coming together.
And for me, it stays fresh by not trying to cast the final product.
Okay.
Like, I want to cast people that can get where I want it to go. That doesn't mean they have to walk in the door with it. And sometimes a lot of directors are like, no, you're not the part. But could they be the part? Somehow the director leaves out his or her work in bringing you to where you can go. And there are certainly people in Joseph who get a little more direction and a little more coaching than others, and then oftentimes in a show, and last year was no different when I did Annie,
Sure.
there's one or two people who are fairly well, like a small project for me to get them to where they need to go, and I have one of those this year.
But that's your job as the director too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say just something on that. Like, I think that's really inspiring to hear that coming from you, especially since we are doing community theater. And to give people the opportunity to find that fire and giving them an outlet to actually experience that, whereas other directors will call their friends, will send out emails and stuff trying to get that final product. And what I've at least heard of you, which I really respect, is that you do give people the chance to step in and figure that out.
There's a side problem with that, which is that I don't have many friends because because they go, "Oh, I'm coming to audition for your show," and I'm like, "Okay, well, you understand what I expect. Like, I expect more from the people who know me and the way I operate." And oftentimes, then they don't get cast, and then the next thing I know, I get hate mail, and we're no longer.
But oftentimes, there's two different philosophies. Well, there's probably more than two, but there's usually two schools of thought with regards to that. You know, there's one that we got to put on a really, really good show, and doggone it, if we don't see what we see in auditions, we're going to go out and we're going to look for that person, and we're going to have more weeks of auditions if we need to until we find those people, because doggone it, it must be this good or nothing else. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong
I
with
agree,
that.
but here's my question. When you direct high school theater, you don't cast that way in high school, do you?
No.
Because they can't do it necessarily. You can't find the finished product right off the bat in the student body.
Right.
So what makes it different outside of the student body? If we were in Times Square casting for a Broadway musical, I would say absolutely.
I would argue
see 1,000 more people and find the right person.
I would argue if we were in Las Vegas and paying people like weekly salaries and amenities and things like that, and if we were doing that, then you can do anything you want. But I'm not arguing one for or against. I think everybody has the right in community theater to do their own thing. Sure. But I also think there needs to be a little bit of a happy marriage, or at least an appreciation of both philosophies. Because here's the thing, I always have viewed the community theater working relationship between the creative team in general and the cast and orchestra or whatever. It needs to be cooperative. It can't be a hierarchy per se, because you're both spending massive amounts of time and creative energy, and for the most part the cast is doing it for free. Right. They're doing it because they love it.
There's some variations. I mean, and not to take away from what either one of you do, because but Eric, I see you first and foremost as an educator, and you educate theater and the dramatic arts, whereas Terrence has done this in his regular job and as side projects. You also have to put a product out there that is going to sell, and you have a limited a number of actors that you can pull from, whereas Terrence has only from the source that comes to audition. But so there's a distinct difference there between the two. But also, if you're doing a show that's going somewhere that has to generate money because you got some muckety-muck up in the high office saying you need to bring in money, you need to do this, you need to do that, you are going to not only get the best people for it, but the ones that bring the finished product at day one.
Right.
So I there's got to be
I agree, but I think that there is also a middle ground. I think any director who doesn't. There are a lot of directors who don't feel like teaching people anything is part of their job. And I think if you're a director, you are a teacher.
Oh, absolutely.
And anyone who's worked with me knows that I oftentimes will give direction and say, I need you to move here, but I almost always tell them why I need them to do it, because that's almost always equally as important as what I need done. I need you to stand over here so that you're not blocking this person, because what is more important, that they stand in the right place or they know why they're standing there so that they don't do it again somewhere else?
Sure. Well, and Terrence, here's the thing. I've always viewed myself in the role of any sort of creative team role in the community theater. And I look at it from a different perspective. I've been entrusted with that job, whatever job that is, by some higher power. Okay, either your board has granted me the opportunity, somebody's hired me, whatever. that is a privilege. Okay. Second, the other thing, I do agree that my gears turn every day in the function of a drama teacher.
Sure.
Okay, and so yeah, I can't imagine it not spilling over into everything I do. You know, that's true. But I've always viewed my role as that of a student and a collaborative working environment. Now, anybody in the 21st century in education will tell you that the new philosophy of secondary education leans more towards a collaborative classroom, not one of a dictatorship, when you're going to lecture and you take notes and go home and I expect you to learn this. It's more collaborative. I think that that's how community theater should be. Because it's like, here's the thing, you're inevitably going to get somebody in the cast that you have put in that role that is going to either have more experience than you, have different experience than you, or have something that is worth sharing en masse that is going to make your proverbial game and everybody else's game one-upped. Everybody has something to learn from anybody else. Everybody.
Right.
And you're the only person that has been entrusted in steering the ship.
Sure.
So use what you know and everything that you can do, everything you can learn to steer it accordingly, according to your vision for the good of the whole. But I think that it needs to be, and I think that is the only time I've ever seen a theater company or any particular project go awry is when that equation has been messed with. When there's a director who doesn't believe in that, or a cast that refuses to do that, or whatever, that equation is disrupted. If you have a collaborative, appreciative, cooperative, creative working relationship with everybody involved, and you're willing to give and take, lead and follow in all capacities, and there's an understanding that you're at the higher, you're the steering the ship there, but if there's an understanding, that I've seen the best shows come from that type of ensemble. Ensemble includes you, the director. And that's something that I've always really appreciated from working with you. I mean, this is the first time I've ever been directed by you, and I think you do a great job of that. You make it about the show, not about my show. And that's very, very important, I think.
It's the most important thing, and and Glenn is right too. I mean, when I direct a show, I absolutely have an obligation to people to create a result, and if it's not good, then I won't be directing anymore for those.
Well, and that's the other thing that I was going to get to is, especially in community theater, your reputation is not based on everything you've done in the past. It's based on what you're doing right now. Because if you do something horrible right now, that affects the next
what
thing.
a double-edged sword that is.
Oh, isn't it? But
butts and seats ratio versus how if people walk away from a project saying, "Wow, that's something that's really progressed me emotionally, creatively." Whatever. You had 2 people in the audience. That's a great show in my eyes. Or if you fill in with thousands of people and people walk away pissed, never wanting to work with anybody again.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, is that a successful show? I see it's hard. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And I've been involved in shows where last summer I was fortunate enough to be involved in Annie, and I can't. I don't know what the total number for the run. 15,000 people came to see the show.
It broke all the attendance records.
Yeah,
people were writing burros.
And then earlier this year, I did a production where probably no more than 200 people came to see it, and both shows were of value to me. And I agree with you. I think that's why you and I have a very similar thought process on things, because I do view every show that I walk into as a student. I have something to learn.
Oh, yeah.
I was given this opportunity to take on this character because, yes, I guess I can bring something to the table, but also because I have something to learn from.
And that's refreshing when you get somebody in there. That's why I wanted to know, because it's like you got a cast full of them, people who are just so thankful to be there, and it's got to be refreshing. I mean,
oh, absolutely. I mean, nothing stranger than watching a 48-year-old guy walk in to audition for Joseph, and you don't know this guy at all. He looks like somebody's dad.
Yeah.
But he's wearing like baseball pants and a t-shirt, and he goes up to the dance call and knocks it out of the ballpark, and you're like, that guy? Really? And then you look at his resume, and he's like, oh, by the way, I just retired from being a police officer in North Las Vegas for 25 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
And he's awesome.
Yeah.
But you've got to give the people the chance to show you that and to take advantage of that and not say, oh, well, I don't know this guy, and there's not a single show on his resume in the past 10 years.
That's
and
awesome.
we're going to pass.
Yeah, you got to.
know?
Well, especially since it's community theater. I mean, I think that's more than anything that's important to keep in mind, that it is community theater, and we are volunteering it because it is a labor of love. And so to be able to work with like-minded people, and that, I think that starts with the director. Like, this is my vision, but this is what I expect from you, and ultimately we're going to rise to that, because
to be
we're
paid for doing something you love is great.
Yeah.
But you know something? I would say that 99% of the people who do community theater have a day job, or they're going to school during the day, or they're doing something, and this is what they're doing because they love to do it. I mean, if you think of every hour that's spent in rehearsal, and hours in rehearsal, it's an hour away from a loved one.
Job in itself.
It's an hour away from family, and that's a sacrifice. And those sacrifices are ones that are investments. They're not, at least that's how I view my involvement in community theater, is that it's an investment. What are you investing in is the next question, and that's a personal journey for everybody.
It really is. And for me, I've run the gambit of playing lead roles, playing ensemble roles, and finding my niche and things. And right now, I'm 30 years old, and I'm looking to buy a house and settle down in life. So where does the community theater fall in that? Where can I fit that into all these responsibilities?
Why don't you co-host a radio show?
I was thinking about it.
Awesome.
I wish someone would ask me.
What's the bell all about?
I don't know.
We haven't
decided the role of the bell,
but it's better than clicking the mouse.
It's
apparently that takes us
up.
in.
Oh my god! As a director, a lot of actors don't see the other side of it, and I know you see this as a director, Eric, which is for every hour you spend in rehearsal, you spend 2 hours outside of rehearsal working on the show. And the actors never notice that. They don't think about that you didn't walk in and block the show just off the top of your head. You had to sit and think about it and listen to it and work on it.
I've worked with some people that did.
And I'll tell you something right now.
Awful.
And how did it go?
I'll tell you something right now. I can't begin to tell you the infectious energy that comes off of the one student that comes up to me and says, "How did you make this?" And then I tell them, and they go, "Whoa, you had to do this." And then they take away an appreciation for what went into that prop, or what went into that costume, or whatever, and then they spread it.
That's going to be coming out of this show, because we haven't even touched on half of the stuff that Terrence is doing for costumes, or for set, for lighting, for sound. I mean, it's going to be a spectacle. And
I think it's good that we keep some surprises, because this is a musical everyone knows, and I think that if you go out and watch it, you'll see what we mean. I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
References.
Oh yeah, and it's a contemporary.
And a lot of unpopular references.
Yeah.
whether or not you've seen Joseph or not, you know who Andrew Lloyd Webber is, and you're either a fan or you're kind of like, take him or leave him. This is going to be a very different type of musical. So
we're mashing up Cats and Joseph.
Basically, it's biblical.
So I'll be playing
with ZZ Top Beard.
I can't even think of any of the cats' names now. Deuteronomy. No,
that is old
Deuteronomy.
Mr. Mistopheles.
Yeah, there we go.
McCavity.
That, yeah.
Oh, McCavity. Anyways. Okay. Let's take a break.
Go McCavity.
Lord. All right, we'll be right back with some more curtain calls.
That was fun. That's a good segment, I thought.
This is Sarah Salzberg from Spelling Bee, and you're listening to Curtain Call with Eric Ball.
Too bad you didn't get Javi fired.
So you got this right now.
Yeah.
Back there for
He tried.
I tried, but he didn't want to go.
Well, I could just record it.
No.
Sarah Salzberg was...
I'm Javi fired.
Just do it. Nobody will know.
I'm glad
Javi fired. Thanks for listening to Curtain Call with Eric Ball.
That's actually pretty good.
Did you get Steven Sondheim or no?
No, that was last year. Oh, at the Smith Center? Steven Sondheim was at the theater conference that I was at this year, last year.
Did you try and get Adina Menzel when she was here in concert?
Well, I didn't, something, I didn't know that they did the stage door crap at Smith, so I didn't stick around.
I didn't either, and I stuck around for about 40 minutes, and then it was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I left because I was just happy to hear her sing.
Same here. And I did stick around for Stephen Sondheim, but then some guy came out and goes, they took him out back by the dock, so he's gone, guys. And we're all like,
yeah, probably was. The only person,
leave him alone.
I wanted to see Carly Crusher because she was one of the girls that ran up on stage during Idina Menzel.
Oh, yeah.
And she was the one that blew everyone away.
She played Penny in
Hairspray. In Hairspray, yeah. And so she was outside waiting for Idina, and Idina actually took her part.
I blew that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not want to use my hand.
She was sitting. I took
knew
her
it
to the
so bad.
concert, and she was like, "Who does it?" I'm like, "Would you freaking stand up?" Like,
Can I tell you something?
we were sitting close too. Like, she would have totally gone.
I know the songs to Rent, but I don't know them well enough to stand next to Idina Menzel. I would give anything to stand and sing with Idina Menzel. But are you kidding me? There is no way.
I don't remember.
Watermelon. Take me. Oh my God, Idina Menzel.
I don't know. I just freaked
You
out.
could ask her. I was like, "Come on, you should do it. You should go. Raise your hand. Come on." I was like, once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm like giving her the guilt trip from right next to her.
It was so funny. We were sitting in front of this very loud and fun gay couple. We met them and we were talking to them. I don't even remember their names. But when she did that, yeah, he turned, one of them wanted to turn to the other and he went, "You get up there right now." And he's like, "No." And it escalated. "Get up there." And he was like punching him. "Get up there, get up there." And he goes, "If you touch me one more time, I swear to God I'm leaving right." And it got angry real quick. And Emily and I are going, "Oh my gosh, awkward." We were like, "Look away." Because it went from happy, yeah, no, playful, don't touch me again. I was like, wow. It was very funny. It was very funny. It made me laugh. That was a funny part of the night.
By the way, Lacage is like the second Sunday of the show.
Oh, boo.
What?
You don't want to
Sunday.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm just telling you when it is.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to. You should have heard Harvey Firestein talk about George Hamilton.
Shush! I got tickets to go see it.
Yeah, I did too.
Chris Sieber will be